Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. This will be the start of a new mini-series that I do on the channel, where I talk about each Yu-Gi-Oh spin-off and the possibility that I think a spin-off could get a movie, and what I would like to see in that movie. And we are going to start with Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. The most recent Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie that was released, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions, capped off Yu-Gi and the original crew's journey in an amazing way. We didn't really necessarily need a sequel, but I don't think anyone complained when it was first announced, and so it kind of got me thinking of movie possibilities for GX, 5Ds, Zexal, Arc 5, and Vrains. Now, of course, it's kind of tricky with 5Ds, because the movie before Dark Side of Dimensions, Bonds Beyond Time, technically is a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds movie, but because Yugi is involved, because Judai from GX is involved, I always viewed it more as an original trilogy movie than a 5Ds solo movie, even though it 100% ties into the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds story, because when you say Dual Zone at the end of the show, he thinks back on all the memories that he's created before he delivers the final blow to Zone, and one of the characters that crosses his mind is Pandora, which confirms the canon between Bonds Beyond Time and Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. But enough about that. We are going to get into the possibility and the ideas of the potential Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds movie. I will say before I begin, there is no confirmation that we will ever get another Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie. We got Pyramid of Light in 2004, Bonds Beyond Time in 2010, Dark Side of Dimensions in 2016, so based on that pattern, maybe 2022. It seems every 6 years they like to do a movie, but because of the obvious budget issues they've had towards the end of Arc 5 and even throughout Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, who knows if they really can afford or are anticipating doing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, especially one that Yugimoto might not be in. But here we go. We are going to get into my thoughts on the possibility of a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds movie and what I personally would like to see. So I'm going to actually start with what I would like to see and how I would like the movie to kind of play out without going into every single detail. And this is going to be kind of a more creative video than I usually do. So hopefully you guys leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what characters you would like to see appear in a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds movie, what kind of plotline you would like to see. I'm really intrigued to hear what you guys are going to say, and I know some of you will come up with some amazing movie ideas, probably movies that are better than mine. So the name of the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds movie that I've come up with, which will probably give away the main premise of the movie, is Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds Rise of Arcadia. Matt Galaxia, a good friend of mine, he suggested some movie titles, and I liked a few of his titles as well. Rise of Arcadia, it's very similar to Reverse of Arcadia, the Nintendo DS game, but I think it's different enough that they can probably get away with it. So obviously this movie would be all about finishing off Divine, or Sayer in the Dubs story arc, one that was left very open-ended at the end of the show. It wasn't until the 10th anniversary book came out that confirmed he got arrested and the Arcadia movement just went by the wayside. He would be the main villain in this movie, and by having Divine as a main villain, we already know about his character. It's not like in Agami, even though Agami was great in Dark Side of Dimensions, but you don't need to spend time building up a villain, learning his motivations. We know already enough about Divine where you can just throw him in the fray, and we already understand that he's evil, what he's trying to do to everyone, and his intent on wreaking havoc in the world, basically. So the movie would kick off with a Crow and Jack duel. At the end of 5Ds, Crow was Jack's next challenger. He was leaving his tag teaming team. He actually recruited Rua, or Leo in the dub, to join his buddies in the team that he created, and he was pursuing a solo career, and they were interviewing Jack, saying that Crow was going to be joining the solos, kind of foreshadowing that these two were going to duel for the title of world champion. That's how the movie would begin. You would throw the viewer right into it with a Crow and Jack duel. It doesn't really matter who they have winning, but I would show probably 5 minutes worth of this duel. We would start in the middle of the duel, and that's how we would get in. The continuity from when the show ended right to the movie begins. That's how I would start this movie. So Crow and Jack duel. You could even have Aki watching. You could have Leo and Luna watching, the twins. I would keep Yusei out of it, to be honest, for a little bit, because they left Yusei's future very open-ended. So even though Yusei obviously is going to have a major role in his own movie, I think it would be kind of cool if he wasn't in it right off the bat, because that's kind of how they ended the show. That's just how I would do it, though. But Crow and Jack duel, you have whoever you want wins, and then the next shot you get is a shot of Divine in prison. And you could maybe show how he got arrested after the Dark Signers fiasco ended, just to catch up new viewers on why he's in prison. Then I would create a secondary villain. So there is going to be obviously new characters in this movie. I wouldn't just use older versions of the characters that we all know and love. I would create a secondary villain. Maybe make one of these guys in the photos an important character in this movie. That way it's not just Divine as an enemy and you could have some other duels going on. That was the issue with Dark Side of Dimensions, that Agami pretty much had to duel everyone from an evil perspective because he was essentially the only villain in the movie. So I would build up a secondary villain in this case, and whatever secondary villain they build up, I would have them break Divine out of prison. You could have a scene where they break into the facility, they do a whole prison escape. It's not something that's uncommon for Yu-Gi-Oh! We've seen prison escapes in Arc 5, we saw a prison escape in Vrains. It's actually quite a continuous trend in Yu-Gi-Oh! To break out of prison. So that's how I would begin the movie, and then you could go into the opening credits and, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's movie, Rise of Arcadia, or something along those lines. So we've already established that the characters are there, Jack and Crow dueled, and Divine, this major threat, is out of prison. You can do a time skip to a few months, and what I would do is have a narrator. The narrator could be Luna, it could be Aki. I think either of those two characters would work, and I would catch everyone up on the time skip, the 5-year time skip between when 5Ds ended and when this movie is beginning, which is going to be when the time skip happened in the final episode 154. That way you can get the fans back on track with everything. We can know what happened in between the Yusei and Jack duel and when Team 5Ds all went on their separate ways, and to the foreshadowing that was shown to us. Whoever is narrating, you could even have them say that they haven't heard too much from Yusei, add a little mystery factor there, something along those lines. I would then have Misty show up to Aki's job, because we know she becomes a doctor in the future. She controls her psychic powers. She uses them for good. I would have Misty show up to the hospital or the doctor's office, wherever Aki is working at that time, and it wouldn't be hard to track her down, because if she's an astute doctor, you can look up any doctor online on Google and it'll come right up. I'm sure Misty knows how to use Google, and I would have Misty be the one to deliver the news to Aki about Divine and Arcadia for two reasons. One, I think there would be a mutual respect between Misty and Aki, especially what happened at the end of the Dark Signers arc, and two, Misty knows that Aki probably wants to enact revenge on Divine and knows how dangerous that Arcadia is. Both of these girls do. And Misty, at this point, she probably isn't living for too much. She felt that when Divine was eaten by her Earthbound Immortal, she kind of put everything to rest. And that's why we never see her after the Dark Signers arc, because her story is over. She avenged her brother Toby. There's not much more she can do. But if you're a human being and you hear that the man who murdered your brother escaped prison, you're going to want to go after them, especially someone like Misty, who did everything she did to avenge Toby. So I think Misty, the motivation is there to go after Divine. And I'm not going to go into any more details, even though I do really want to write out like a full script to this movie. And maybe I will. Maybe I'll write it out and like put it in like an ebook or something and, give it out to people if they want to read it. I do love writing this kind of stuff. I guess this is fan fiction. This technically, I've only written a few lines, but I guess this is like the first fan fiction I've ever written or read. I really don't read too much fan fiction. I've never written it before, and I guess this technically is what it is. But basically the whole movie would be the Arcadia movement getting momentum, gaining traction. You would have Team 5Ds teaming up. And the thing is, Divine has so many connections to all of these characters. You could have Misty going to the Arcadia headquarters. You could have Aki going. Maybe you could even have a scene where Divine tries to re-recruit Aki, and when Aki refuses, Divine threatens her or something along those lines, and that's when they get Yusei involved. Yusei obviously has issues with Divine. Leo and Luna have issues with Divine. We remember the duel that Divine put Leo through, and of course Luna can see spirit monsters, so maybe you could do some tie-in there. Of course, Carly, again, she has the issue because Divine literally killed her. There's literally so many characters that revolve around Divine and would want Divine dead, and that's why having a secondary antagonist with him would be important to this movie. Hopefully it would be a good antagonist. I picture someone like a Spectre from Vrains, or a Yuri from Arc 5, or a Vector from Zexal, or a Marek from Duel Monsters. Someone not of that caliber, but someone who has that same level of insanity. I actually think a Spectre-like character would be perfect, because Spectre isn't the one running anything, he's just there to cause chaos. And that is exactly the secondary antagonist this kind of movie would need. That way you could have characters like Jack and Carly duel against this man, and you could still have Aki and Yusei, who I would have a 2-on-1 duel to end this movie. I would have Aki and Yusei dueling Divine, and Divine, maybe like Sayu did in GX, could be going after the government to get like a bomb or something like that, and he's going to destroy the entirety of Neo Domino City, and that could be another plot line, because remember, Yusei stayed in Neo Domino City to keep it running, to keep it alive, and so having all of these characters coming back to their home city to stop this major threat one last time, I think it would be an amazing movie. I think it would cap off Divine's character extremely well, and it would be amazing to see the 5D's crew back in action. For the logistics of this movie, I don't think, even if they did a 5D's movie, I don't think we will ever see Divine again. There was a reason that they completely scrapped his character after the Dark Signers arc, and even if it's rumors, there's nothing that's confirmed with all the cult stuff with Carly's voice actress. They seem to have kind of moved away from that in newer Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows. They've moved away from the cult stuff. They've gone kind of into more magic, more sci-fi, so I don't think we would see a character as twisted as Divine, because if you rewatch and reread some of the stuff he did, I mean, this man, being a human being, was a disgusting person. He was just pure evil and pure terror. Again, murdering an 8-year-old boy. He was a messed up guy. So I don't think we would ever see a villain of that kind of caliber again, where it's like personal. It's not, with most Yu-Gi-Ohs, it's, I want to wipe out the world, or, I want to wipe out all of these characters, and it's kind of mass genocide. I mean, that's basically what it is. But I feel like when it's individual people killing Toby, killing Carly, brainwashing and grooming Aki, trying to do the same to Leo, I feel like there's more realism there. And that is what kind of creeps me out with Divine's character. So I don't think they would ever return to form with Divine with a movie like this. As for a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's movie in general, I don't think we will probably ever get one. Honestly, I don't think we will ever get a spin-off movie at all. I think the only movie that has a chance to be a spin-off movie is Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. For whatever reason, I feel like they would go back and do a Yu-Gi-Oh! GX movie. I'm not really too sure why. Of course, there was one that was scrapped. I did a video on it, GX, Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus GX. But I could see them going back and doing a GX movie. I just have a hard time picturing them doing any movie that Yugi Moto is not in. But to be honest, for someone like me, no matter what Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie they do, whether it's for Zexal or 5Ds or hell, even Arc 5, I'm 100% on board. I'm absolutely going to see it. It's the more casual fans that they need to appeal to. I do feel like GX and 5Ds have a better chance than Zexal and Arc 5 and Vrains, because I feel like 5Ds to Zexal is the stopping point for a lot more casual fans. For whatever reason, that just seems to reign true. Like after the original trilogy, people just kind of stopped watching. So I think there is more audience that would maybe be involved in wanting to see a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds or GX movie. But even if they did a 5Ds movie, I can't see them bringing back Divine. Even though the writing seems like, the movie seems like it would write itself, I just don't see it personally happening. But you guys let me know. I honestly had a lot of fun doing this video, and I will have a lot of fun thinking about ideas for a GX movie, for a Zexal movie, and for an Arc 5 movie, and even I probably will actually skip on Vrains, but for those three, for the time being, I'm really excited to whip up some ideas and share them with you guys, and I'm really excited to hear what you guys would want to see in a 5Ds movie down below, and let me know what you think of my preliminary idea. If you like it, if you hate it, let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Samuel Stark, Thomas Adderley, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, and Vincent Van Der Veen, and to my Diamond tier patron Jesse Wood, and to my Egyptian God tier patron Syn Cloud and Chris Swan. A huge thank you to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. I cannot tell you how much it helps me out and helps out my channel, and a huge thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I will talk to you down below, and I hope you have an amazing day. だから自分らしさ探して